Good morning, all of you, and welcome back to Darpan. And today's session will be continuing from whatever we stopped last time. Last time we discussed on Alignment Mirage. And Alignment Mirage is a very interesting um, concept and topic. Why? Because in our organizations, whenever we are leading new initiatives, we are trying to bring a change, we are trying to bring a transformation, we want to move forward. Now, AI has come in. How do I actually implement it? At that time, alignment is the biggest concern that we feel. All those people who we thought were aligned start behaving differently and are unable to connect to the new change, new transformation, new activity that is happening. Promoter is extremely excited, leadership is extremely excited, and the whole excitement fizzles down when somebody at the junior level just gazes at your eyes and say, okay, what does it mean for me? Now, many such questions need to be answered, and these questions we'll answer today. The last time we spoke about SOCH as a concept, I'll recap that a little bit. And this time I will say, how does SOCH gets misaligned, and what are the things that we should look at while we are looking at SOCH as a deeper concept, and how do I align initiatives to SOCH, and when do my SOCH initiatives fail, and what is the implementation methodology for it. Okay, so we'll spend some time on that today. So, to begin the whole process of how alignment has to be thought, let me begin by conversing and discussing what we discussed last time. So, Soch as a concept is very different from the traditional Western concepts of purpose, vision, mission, values, culture. They're still touching the maximum, the mind level. Soch comes deeply rooted from your spirit and has got a very different connotation compared to what we see otherwise in any of these concepts for us. They are mostly ornamental. We are doing it as a fashion. We are not really living them as a deep down our Sanskriti being the right word and our sanskar being the right word. Now, I will just recap a little bit what we discussed last time as pointers, and then we'll move on to discussing how do I implement this in our day-to-day life in organizations today. So, what did we discuss? We discussed about SOCH as a important concept. We said that SOCH is basically who you are. It is very different from what you can see, which is vision, or what you say as purpose. Both these things are coming from the design of life and not the discovery of life. You were mostly designing it, you were mostly trying to align your thought process. You were not discovering your inner voice. And if you do not discover the inner voice, world looks very beautiful on the other side always. You will see how great this guy is doing, how much money he has got, how much great valuations he is getting, what big he has done. But yourself deep down, you're not able to reconcile to the fact that I am unable to do things because you're just trying to copy, and which is what happens when you get into these Western concepts of being creating a purpose, creating a vision, creating a mission. It is extremely important, although words don't matter, but here I would say words do matter because you get stuck onto a word. And therefore, this new word had to be given to the world, and which we call in translation as Soch. And Soch is who you are. And when you say who you are, it's much deeper connotation than why you exist and what you do. Especially who you are when no one is watching, who you are when nothing forces you from doing anything, who you are when there is nothing going in your way. You are still that. And it is deeply different from vision, from purpose. Vision is aspirational. Soch is neither aspirational nor declarational like purpose. It is, you cannot draft SOCH. You can't put it into words sometimes, although you will have to. But those words can't be made like a statement. Those words also need to come out of your spirit, not from your mind. It has to just create a aha moment. And when and I've experienced this for so many years now, when we discover SOCH for people, when we help them discover their SOCH, those moments when suddenly that lightning strikes, suddenly those words come out of their mouth, those words speak to their spirit. And when the spirit is spoken about, that moment, 100% suppressed emotions, spirit appears through you in the form of tears. That's ecstasy. It's the same ecstasy that you feel when you get in the state of yoga, the true yoga. When you get in the state of union, that is the kind of experience you will have when you have discovered your SOCH. An organization can have beautiful purpose statement and a hollow SOCH. The hollowness will show up in a deck. It'll show up in one initiative that you take. It'll show up in the silences between the meetings. It'll show up in who gets promoted. It'll show up in who gets celebrated. It will show up in every moment when you are different from who you truly are. When you behave differently from who you truly are, it quickly shows up there. A SOCH is the level at which organization actually operates before even language is applied to it. That is SOCH. Now, we had discussed this last time in detail, so I'm not getting into it. I will just speak about the three markers of SOCH. One, the SOCH is pre-verbal. It precedes language. I had given an example when a long tenured employee says, that's just not who we are. They're actually pointing to SOCH. They're not pointing to the statement that he wrote on the wall. One. Second, SOCH is collective and it is not democratic. It belongs to the organization, not to any individual within it. It cannot be vetoed on. It cannot be voted on. It cannot be surveyed on. It cannot be imposed by a branding agency. It actually shows up in small, small, small decisions over many, many, many years of your existence. And it will get eroded as slowly as it got built or discovered by neglecting it. So one is SOCH is pre-verbal, second is SOCH is collective, third is SOCH is felt. It can't be measured. You can't put a metric to it. You can't have an NPS score to it. It is the fragrance. And you can't give fragrance. You can't give any score to the fragrance. You can't give any questionnaire to the fragrance. The usual measuring metrics fail at SOCH. SOCH is what they would say if no instrument was watching. It is closer to your breath, it's closer to the atmosphere than to data. So you cannot have any data to prove that I'm following a SOCH. I may not be able to express it, but I'm very one with the atmosphere. So when you be with me, you feel I'm talking to somebody who is very connected to me. That is so. So three primary markers are: it is collective, it is not democratic, it is pre-verbal, and it is felt, it can't be measured. So an aligned soch is always clear and calm. Everything else is a mirage. And that's exactly what, when we said that soch is tested at the wall, not on the wall. That means when you push to the wall, soch gets tested. It's not tested on the beautiful statements that you written on the wall. It can be framed in the lobby, but it won't last if the spirit goes away. Okay, it's not a marketing statement again. It is something from which a marketing statement can be derived. So it's very beautiful fragrance. It's very beautiful. Is the beauty of the organization, it's the inner beauty of the organization, and it is the um, what you can say, alignment to the soch is not a state. It is the behavior under pressure. How you behave under pressure, and how much pressure can you sustain by living this? You may die for it. That is soch. In calm water, every organization looks aligned. Really good alignment you can experience only when it's turbulence. In calm water, even strategy decks agree. Town halls are smooth. Leadership team seems meetings end on time. They seem to be doing everything well. The mirage holds. Calm waters are where mirage holds, but turbulence is what disturbs the mirage completely. It is the only honest diagnostic that who is soch, who is not. So, having that said this, we spoke about I think 5 pressure tests. One was revenue test, second was person test, third was acquisition test, fourth was the praise test, and fifth was the silence test. And these tests we discovered and spoke last time. Now we are going to get into a new part of this whole concept. We call it beyond the alignment mirage. So, like every time, I will not just stop at the philosophy because soch is a hugely philosophical element. I will also give you a framework that will help you understand how do I align initiatives to soch. This two-part series, the second part will end today. This, I will call this as a companion session to my mother session, which was the first one. The companion session is speaking about how do I see whether my organization is drifting or is it aligning every single time. So the first soch session spoke about that soch is tested at the wall, not on the wall. And most of the organizational drifts, the movement from your soch, comes from anchoring to the wrong thing under pressure. Now, today's session will pick up where it ended last time. So, assume soch is genuinely your anchor. Assume that soch is genuinely your anchor. So, that is something which I'm not going to argue anymore now. The harder question that we need to ask is, how does that anchor translate into hundreds of initiatives, decisions, and trade offs that fill an organization's calendar almost every single day? Because soch without execution, like I said last time, soch without execution is contemplation, it is just a sermon, and execution without soch is just motion, it's just movement. There is no progress. The work of leadership is to hold the both soch and execution. The bridge between them is a disciplined approach to aligning initiatives. A bridge between SOCH and implementation, execution, is a disciplined approach of aligning initiatives to it. If you will see in the modern context, most of the transformation efforts fail not because strategy is wrong, but because the connection between the SOCH and the initiative is left implicit. It is assumed. It is not spoken about. Leaders, promoters, organizers, founders assume the connection is obvious. It rarely is. I'm telling you right now, it rarely is. And this I'm speaking after 450 organizations experience, where I found SOCH was very beautiful discovery. It is lying on our Manan wall also over here, which we call in our office. How many of them are living it right now? One, two, three. I don't know, but I can count on the fingers. From the time we discovered all this till today, this wall speaks about so many such SOCH that we discovered in the last so many years. The ones who are not living it are seeing dreading times, difficult times, just they buckle under pressure. Ones who are living it are growing. They are peacefully growing. They might feel turbulence here and there, they might feel issues here and there, but here and there means it can even last for years sometimes. But nothing happens to your head. They're calm, they're clear, and path appears. Because SOCH once discovered, and it's shining like a light inside you, you automatically make right decisions. Mistakes, most of them. Mistakes is they're not aligning initiatives to SOCH. They assume that alignment exists. But today, I'm going to be speaking about two parts. One, what are 5 failure modes of initiative alignment? Failure modes. And then I will speak about a framework called as Anchor, 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 which will help you align initiatives to SOCH. So stay focused for another 30 minutes. I think I'll cover these two parts in 30 minutes now. Okay. So before introducing the framework Anchor, ANCHOR, let's look at some patterns that will help us understand where we think the SOCH is aligned, but it's a mirage. It's not aligned. Okay, so I will speak about some initiatives. I'll share the screen now so that you can also make sense out of it. Now, I hope you can see my screen, and I'm going to be putting some frameworks here. So the first one, what are 5 failure modes? So first mode, what I call as the orphan initiatives. So some initiatives are called as the orphan initiatives. Orphan initiatives. What are these orphan initiatives? So projects exist because some influential championed them. And then he, just to bring in some thought, ornamentally, backward, without connecting spirit to it, gave it a face of SOCH. But it was very individual driven. Your words may connect it to SOCH, but SOCH is such powerful feeling that if it is not connected to SOCH, even if you have 1,000 words explaining it, you will know it. People who are deeply drowned in SOCH, they will know it is not. So projects that exist because some influential championed them, not because they trace truly back to SOCH. Why do they survive, these initiatives? These initiatives survive only because organization has already invested some amount of time and money into it, and that inertia exists to let it be. So these are called as orphan initiatives. These are those initiatives which have very superficial and a very forced connection to SOCH, but it is not truly aligned to SOCH. So I would say championed by, sorry, some influential person, but can't be traced back to SOCH. So this is the first problem, first initiative. Second, so the second initiative, which or second failure mode for initiative alignment, contradictory initiatives. So what is orphan? The true mother of the organization is SOCH. And if you have an initiative which is aligned, don't that doesn't align to it, it's an orphan only. So contradictory initiatives, second. So you have two or more efforts. When they are examined together, they work against each other. Each makes sense in isolation, maybe, but together they cancel out. Again, it is the offspring of orphan because there can be two orphan initiatives which look amazing individually, but when they come together, they don't make any sense. They cancel out. So these are called as contradictory initiatives. Contradictory initiatives. They individually make sense, but together they cancel out. That is the second problem. Now comes more interesting part, the third problem. Costume initiatives. What is a costume initiative? It's a work that wears the costume of SOCH or the language of SOCH. But when stripped off the wrapping that you have around it, it's really about revenue, the status, the politics, the position, your selfish interest, your ESOP, your stock, your press, etc. So the mirage is at the initiative level itself. So when you're wearing the costume of SOCH, and I've seen this happening many times, multiple times. But the problem of the cost of the SOCH is it is not a usual value statement or a purpose statement. It is a very deep thing because it can be felt. When you're launching it, your words might be, your language might be, your creatives might be talking about SOCH, but the ones who are really living SOCH internally say these are all mirages. They say it from, they might not say it with words, they will echo that inside them. Because it's mostly about revenue we're talking about, mostly about status, mostly about politics, profit, valuation, etc. etc. So costume initiatives are revere the language of SOCH, but hardly, but truly has a connection only to selfish metrics. That is the cost of initiatives. Now comes the fourth kind of an initiative, which I call as the diluted initiative. So there can be efforts that started aligned, but they were watered down through committee, they were watered down through uh, a different kind of a problem, like, for example, a compromise that was made, there was an issue that was raised, there was a problem that happened because you started this initiative. So, diluted initiative may start well aligned, but as the time progresses, difficulties come in. Some new committee members enter. Some compromises were discussed, and covered. Risk aversion until they no longer move the anchor. So many such things happen while you are in the path. So you started high, you aligned everything, you became good, but then problems started entering because that's obvious. That's a path. Every great initiative also has a problem. Every great connection also has a problem. So efforts that start aligned but were watered down through some difficulties or a committee member entering or a compromise that was made for revenue, for profit, for short-term win, these initiatives get diluted even though they were aligned. So they are not bad, they are good, but they are diluted ones. So diluted initiatives. They get diluted because of either a new committee member or um, compromise that was made, etc. The last initiative problem, performative initiative. Projects whose primary output is the appearance of action. They exist to be reported, not to change anything. So there are many projects that you'll do just to show you're doing something. That happens in, you go and list down your initiatives that you're taking, and you will list some initiatives. I'm talking about intentionally. It is not talking, some initiatives start with some result expectation but convert into performative. That means they're just actions, they're no outcomes. So projects where primary output is expected to be just an appearance of the action. I know it in my heart. They just exist. They just exist on paper. They just exist because my appearance of daily action should be strong, but they don't actually down within change anything. Such initiatives break SOCH on a daily basis. These are called as performative. They're just doing a performance, theatrical performance. Now the true organizational performance. So these are called as performative initiatives. These just have the appearance of action and not the true expected outcome. So these are the 5 initiative problems. Now, why I discussed all this? Because every framework that follows is a tool for catching one of these 5 before it consumes the resources, before it consumes you as as an individual, as a founder. So as you are in a state of creating an impact, you should be able to connect every initiative to create that impact to SOCH. And any initiative can become orphan, can become costume, can become performative, may dilute as you proceed. It may be contradicting to some other initiative. That may happen. These 5 important problems exist everywhere. But if you apply the anchor framework deeply, correctly, in a right sense, right spirit, in the right way, with right monitoring, which will require a lot of transformation in you and around you, I promise you, you will catch these problems early on. But it needs a very different way of operating yourself. And if you'll see whatever I'm going to explain now, this operation methodology, the anchor methodology, will sit on the execution methodology, which I spoke about in the last 3 to 4 Darpans that happened, the execution lever model. Now, so when I'm explaining the anchor framework, implementation of anchor framework will require deep discipline. But I promise you, if you do it well, you will catch the problems that existed in the initiatives above. You will be able to catch them very, very early on. Okay, so let's get into the anchor framework now. So I'm going to speak about every element of the framework, connect it back to SOCH, and see how deeply you can sip it inside. Okay, so what we are talking here today is anchor framework. So we'll start with the first word, first letter A. So what is A? Before any initiative is approved, before any initiative is approved, A, please articulate the SOCH linkage. Before any initiative is approved, A stands for articulation. Articulate the SOCH linkage explicitly. Explicitly. You must write an answer to one question. What is the question? The question is, if this initiative succeeds completely, which dimension of our SOCH is honored? And how would we know? So, point number one, articulate the SOCH linkage. So, A stands for articulation. Articulate the SOCH linkage. And when I say that, what I mean is, you have to write an answer to the following question. If this initiative succeeds completely, which dimension of our SOCH is honored, and how would we know? Now, that is the first point of the anchor framework. Let's go to the second point. The idea is, if I'm able to articulate this question well, it will start building an explicit connection for all those who cannot articulate for themselves. Before I go to the end, let me give an example of it. So, for example, one of our seekers, we have this very beautiful SOCH, which is, I exist to create true wealth. Now, true wealth is very different from wealth. True wealth for you can be your daughter's smile, for me can be the smile that I put on the seekers' lives, the flowers that spread everywhere. So, true wealth for everyone is very different. So, if my purpose is to help you discover your true wealth, if my purpose is to spread true wealth and they have a purpose of spreading true wealth in the whole, the SOCH of deeply ingrained SOCH of ensuring that I want to live in this world. I'm born as an individual that I see the children of this country are empowered at every level. Urban India might be seeing it, but rural India, tier 2 India doesn't see it. It's very, very difficult. And it starts at home. So it starts at home. When it starts at home, the whole game shifts. Because if I'm not taught my children, not taught my daughter, not taught myself on this, how do I make it happen? And it starts from very small thing. So when we were saying, I remember those sessions happening over there. Our conversation was, I want to grow to. So initial conversation could have been, I want to grow this company so that I can impact more and more girl children. Now they are selling plots. So ambition can be, you can decide, I want to build 4,000, 40,000 or 4 lakh. I want to sell 4 lakh plots in next 1 year, or 40,000 plots in next one. Now, this is a very selfish way of expressing it, because internally I know that I want to impact that many girl children. But if you have not explicitly articulated it, it will not connect to everyone in your organization. So you can say, this initiative of mine, which I'm starting now, it honors our SOCH of ensuring girl child in every village gets benefit of the wealth that their family is creating for them. Now, the moment they said this, questions started appearing. How is this growth helping them? How do I know this wealth is going to the children? How do I know that this wealth is going and impacting the lives of the girl child? So then we had many initiatives, like for example, one of the initiative was that if you buy the land or buy the plot in the name of your girl child, I will give you an extra 30% off. Now, and if you buy it in the name of yourself, or even if one of the owner is not a girl child, then this percentage goes away. Now, this is just one small conversation that happened around this, but conversation started. So if the linkage cannot be written in one paragraph, one line, one initiative, one beautiful statement, then you can't put your time, money, and effort behind it. Because this step alone, if done well, if articulation is done well, this step alone will kill orphan and costume initiatives. Because these orphan initiatives, costume initiatives, they cannot survive the articulation. They cannot survive the articulation test, if you have to call it. They can't survive the articulation test. So, the step one of the anchor framework A is when you are articulating initiative connection to SOCH. Well, beautiful. Okay, let's come to N, the second one. The end part of it is name the trade offs explicitly. Name the trade offs explicitly. That means what? Let me write it for you first. N. Name the trade offs explicitly. Now, what is that you're doing by saying this? Every initiative consumes something. आपने इनिशिएटिव लिया या तो कैपिटल यूज होगा या टेंशन यूज होगा या टैलेंट जाएगा टाइम जाएगा टेंशन मीन्स टाइम ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल बैंडविड्थ जाएगी consumer goodwill will be used some opportunity cost will go up. So every single initiative consumes something. It can be capital, it can be money, it can be infrastructure, it can be people, whatever. Therefore, we require an explicit list of what this initiative will prevent the organization from doing. Not in vague terms, in named specific terms. So, for example, you can say this initiative we take, it will require us to maybe defer um, our our platform modernization for 18 months. It will defer maybe three of our top engineering leads to something else. But why this trade-off is to be explicitly explained? Because then you know how important SOCH is for you. Although I am sitting in my office and trying to create something very connected to SOCH, we should be able to deeply, deeply, and I tell you, all the leaders, all the promoters, all the founders already know it, but they don't say it. And when they don't say it, people don't understand it because it looks like a contradictory initiative. On one side, we said we have to go to the Dubai market and we have to enter the Middle East or we have to enter over here. And suddenly now this initiative is started, which looks like contrary to it. But if explained clearly that both initiatives are SOCH initiatives, but I have the same only this much amount of capital, the one which gives bigger boost to the SOCH is initiative number A or B or C or D, and therefore I'm prioritizing that first compared to something else because of the limited cash flow, limited capital, limited time, limited talent, limited bandwidth. That trade off has to be explicitly articulated, explained. So be clear that ask this question to yourself. Let me write it for you. Ask this question to yourself. Answer the question. What am I trading off in terms of capital, resources, time, bandwidth for this initiative? So you should understand that initiatives are, if they don't have a deeper connection explicitly explained, that connection may fall off. That initiative may fall off. So name the trade-offs explicitly. That is the N of the anchor framework. So A, articulate, N, name. C. C is calibrate. So if you remember, we had the pressure tests similarly. So calibrate against the pressure tests. So from the five pressure tests that we spoke about last time in the philosophy piece of the SOCH, apply them at the initiative level now. Okay, so I will ask questions against that pressure test. So number one, will this initiative that I'm taking still make sense if revenue is down 20%? Will this initiative that I'm making make sense if revenue is down 20%? Will this initiative still be truly defended by the rest of the organization if the executive who championed it leaves? So, just to keep writing while you are listening to me, calibrate against the pressure tests. So what is the first test? Will this initiative still make sense if revenue is down 20%? Second, will rest of the organization still defend the initiative if the person who championed it leaves? Third, will this initiative survive the public criticism without being abandoned? Would we approve of this initiative if it was proposed by the most junior person in the organization? If this initiative reaches a decision point that contradicts our SOCH, is there a documented commitment to choose SOCH over completion? So test it at the very beginning. So let me write down for other things for you. Will this initiative survive the public criticism? Will I still do this if it was proposed by the most junior level person in the organization? If at any point decision is reaching a SOCH contradiction, do we have a documented uh, evidence of what we should do? So if you look at it, is completing the initiative important or SOCH is important? मैंने 80% किया, मुझे लगा रही है, तो मेरे को लगा था बट कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन हो रहा है, अब क्या करूं? कंप्लीट कर दूं कि रोक दूं? So when I said what we should do, what basically should we complete or should we stop? Should we prioritize completion over SOCH? So write this thing in the beginning itself. This is what we intend to achieve. And even if you have reached the final stage and if that is not happening, stop it. And that's where you will be able to defend all future initiatives for yourself. So that is the C. So what happens is, if the initiatives that pass all the 5 tests, they seem to be anchored well. Initiatives that fail one or more are what we can say as the exposed initiatives. And the exposure, how much the exposure is worth knowing before and not after. Because once the resources are committed, it becomes difficult to pull them back. Very difficult. You've already gone way, way, way ahead. Now, how do I pull my resources back? Ask question, and if it is anchored and you make a mistake on the way, no problem. It doesn't complete, no problem. Because you were true to your SOCH. Not everything that you do will get successful. So that is C. Then comes the H. So H is harden the decision rights. Most initiatives fail in the gray zone. What is the gray zone? Gray zone is who decides at this point, who recommends at this point, who consults at this point, or and who is merely just informed. So till the time your decision metric, recommendation metric, consultation metric, information metric is not clear, the framework will make initiatives fall. So, what you do is at the H level of the framework, you explicitly define the decision rights before the initiatives begin. Explicitly define the decision rights. Decision goes one step further, identify the single person who is accountable for initiatives alignment to SOCH. Not its execution, its alignment. So we are not saying that you should just document it. You should know every step, at every step, who is responsible, who is accountable for initiatives alignment to SOCH, not its execution, its alignment. So it may happen that I have started the whole initiative, but I just don't have the energy after some time that to keep on checking the alignment to SOCH. So you will have to have a metric of people who will be continuously checking the alignment to SOCH. And that is one single point of success or failure in our whole process. It's a different role, absolute different role from a sponsor of the initiative. The SOCH owner has standing to stop the initiative if drifts. Drift has no opponent, and drift always wins by default. Therefore, this role is extremely important. Extremely important. Let me write it for you. To harden the decision rights. Define who are the SOCH owners. They have rights to stop initiatives if they drift. You should always have an eye on where the initiatives are going and how. You always have an eye on where the initiatives are going and how. And it's a therefore it's a must that you harden the decision. Harden it. It is not a simple element of just giving somebody the rights to do it. It's about hardening those rights. It's being clear that they are the ones who can even veto you out completely. And I'll tell you, if you don't have a SOCH owner, drifts are very powerful. Suddenly, a answer to the question will come: how will my cash flow run if I don't do this? Do I have the situation right now to handle this? Typical sentences. Do I have the luxury of doing it right now? Typical sentences. Um, One very difficult sentence that shuts everybody down. Source doesn't give you food to eat. Money does. Now, how to handle these questions? Now, these questions can be handled only by a person who is so much clear that SOCH is my food, really, and not money, and not revenue. If you're not really connected to that, whatever you are, it's almost like Virat Kohli's cricketing is more important than advertising. He can say cricket will not give me food, but it's almost like that. So if the SOCH is your is your internal calling, if you don't do that, you won't get what you got because of it. Now today, something else looks more flary and more interesting, and therefore you're going and focusing on that, but that's not going to last because you're not focusing on what you should be focusing on. Therefore, in the larger scheme of things like an organization, you must harden these decision rights. You must harden. If you can't, if you don't, drift is very powerful. It's like Satan. It'll take you away. It'll sway you away. So harden the decision right. That is the H of the anchor framework. Now let's look at the O. O is the operationalize the dissent. That's very important. Now, because extremely important, because disagreement is very frustrating. If somebody says we should not do this, they start criticizing from the beginning. Operationalize it. Build disagreement into initiative design, not as an afterthought, but as a structural feature. Structural feature. So, for example, have a dissent log. So, I give three mechanics. Have a dissent log. So every major decision in the initiative is documented alongside the strongest dissenting view at the time it was made. So when the initiative is reviewed later, the log shows whether the dissent was valid or not valid, and whether the team learned from it or not. It is easy to throw away the dissent because you're already wanting to do it. So you already done it in your mind. Now, at that time, anybody who will say no, 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 you will not listen to them. So, point is forcibly make yourself listen to it and then document it. So, when you're saying, okay, this initiative has started, we are taking A, B, C, D decisions. Each decision has expected this outcome. During the discussion, we found person A saying this thing, person B saying this thing, and person A and person B look like an important critic. Okay, let's write down. We still do it, at this decision, but we'll write down what was the major contradiction thought that came at that time. So disagreement जो भी था उसको लिख लो and make a dissent log. So when you make a dissent log, the decisions, when you're reviewing it every 60 days, 90 days, 30 days, 15 days, whatever it is, at that time of the review, you should look at what was the disagreement at that time, and did we learn from it, or was it correct, not correct, and how do I move forward? And then that meeting where you're making new decisions, again log it. So that is the first initiative of operationalizing disagreements. So let me write down O for you. Operationalize the disagreements. Number one, make the disagreement log. Number two, so you understood disagreement log. Number two, 90-day pre-mortem, not post-mortem, pre-mortem. Every 90 days, the team writes a story of how the initiative failed, how it moved, what was done, what was not done, and what signals would have warned them. Then they check those signals against current reality and then move forward. So, during the whole long initiative, there will be some times that some decisions will go wrong, some decisions will go right. Do a pre mortem. Sit down, imagine yourself 90 days from now, and write down, okay, I'm here. This could not happen because this didn't happen, this didn't happen, this didn't happen. Check now whether my organization has prepared for this, maybe post mortem after 90 days. So, that is the kind of a pre mortem model that you have to implement for every initiative. So, do a pre mortem so that you don't need to do post-mortem. Third thing what you can do is name the challenger. One person per quarter is assigned to argue. His job is to argue in a structured session, not a general argument, structured session. What is the question? Why shouldn't I kill the initiative today? This is rotational. So, what does it do? It normalizes the act of questioning. So, the moment you do that, it will become kind of a vaccine to the diluted and performative initiatives. If you remember those initiatives which are performing only for performance in the theater. So it will act like a vaccine to the diluted and performative initiatives. So therefore, one person every quarter is assigned to argue in a structured fashion that why the initiative should be killed. So I would call it name the challenger. One every quarter argues against the initiative. Basically, it's a vaccine against the performative or costume initiatives. So that is O of the anchor framework. Now comes last, R. You should recommit at the inflection points. Because as the time passes, alignment decays. This is dilution hota hai na? Alignment decays. Markets change, contexts change, leaders change, assumptions change. And the original SOCH linkage that we had done in words may not hold anymore. Those words may not hold anymore. So you will have to deliberately, mandatorily recommit checkpoints and redefine the connection, re-articulate the connection of SOCH to the initiative. So as the alignment decays, market changes, leaders change, assumptions change, the original SOCH linkage that justified the initiative may no longer hold. So therefore, build a mandatory recommitment checkpoint. Every 90 days for fast moving initiatives, every 6 months for slower initiatives, and immediately following any major external shock or a leadership change, you must recommit. Don't assume the original connection remains. Don't assume the original attributes remain because the market conditions have changed. The internal changes would have happened. So at every checkpoint, run A and N steps again. Articulation and trade off. Name the trade offs. Again, from scratch, in writing, in a meeting with the current team at that time. So if the articulation has changed, the change in information the has to be communicated. If the trade-offs have shifted, the shift in information, recommit, redirect, or retire if required. Retire, that has to be communicated. So the hardest step over here will be retire. Most organizations are far better at entering initiatives than retiring them or ending them. This framework of R makes retirement legitimate, socially acceptable, and sometimes even celebrated. Because retiring a drifted initiative in itself is a social alignment. In itself, social alignment. So let me write the last point of the anchor framework for you. Recommit. So it's basically recheck the A and N points at regular intervals, regular logical intervals, and during a major shift in the market slash leadership. Okay, so two points. One is what are the kind of initiatives and how does anchor framework help you align your initiatives to the SOCH framework, to the SOCH. Now, it's extremely important for us to understand that whatever we did right now is a implementation model of the whole thing. So philosophical piece argued that the SOCH is the anchor, and the anchor is only proven under pressure. This session argues that proof in the day-to-day life of an organization is how initiatives are chosen, they are named, they are defended, and even sometimes ended. An organization with SOCH but no initiative discipline becomes inspiring but ineffective. They're inspiring, but they're ineffective. An organization with initiative discipline, but no SOCH, becomes efficient at moving in the wrong direction. The combination is what produces clarity and calm, even at scale. It's about discipline initiative, discipline, it is about initiative discipline and is about philosophical depth of SOCH. So, a combination of these two, SOCH and initiative discipline, will produce calm and clarity. It's an organizational equivalent of an aligned mind, you can say. So the work is never finished. SOCH drifts, initiatives proliferate, anchors erode. So the framework is not a one-time exercise, I would say, but a practice. It is a culture, it is a process that you have to implement inside your organization. It's a way of holding both. It's almost like a meditation for the organization. It's like Ashtanga yoga for the organization. AMCHOR. Okay, so 6 1 days. Ashtanga yoga. So it is a yogic practice for the organization. If you cannot do it like a practice, you will forget it. You will not be able to implement it. The framework is not one-time activity, as I said. It's a practice way of holding both contemplation, the sermon, the SOCH, and the execution in the same hand, week after week, until the process becomes the culture. And the culture becomes the answer to the question every organization eventually faces. What is that question? When the wall comes, what holds? The answer is simple: your SOCH. If it is drilled down to the culture using a process, using a framework, using a practice. All right. Thank you very much for holding on to me for a long time today. It was nice talking to all of you. I have time for only one or two questions maximum. Can you please, if you have anything, please ask me right now. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Your voice is not clear.
Yes, Rohit. Very good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Tell me.
I just want to say a word of thank you for the nice, wonderful session, and it was really awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Kiran. Thank you very much. Yes, Bhaviji.
Pranam, Rohit.
Pranam. Pranam.
Yeah, it's an entirely different path, and literally every conversation which you were delivering, it was so new and so it is going. I mean, bouncer, but somehow I'm trying to really catch what exactly is going on. And it's
Mhm.
confusing, really, to be frank, because I assume because it's a very new path which you have
Mhm.
invented, and it requires a lot many practice.
Correct, it does. It does. Without practice, it will not make any sense to anybody because it's a path of deeper philosophical connection to actual action to deliver results which are sustainable, scalable, and global, not just local.
And one more challenge which I really foresee is, okay, okay, fine, I'm aligned, I'm through that, but I have to transform that to my team.
That's the
And
framework about.
sorry,
That is about the framework. That's how you do it.
okay, and it's a very big challenge. Yes, I can really see that.
Hmm. So it's a challenge because the challenge comes in only from one perspective that if we don't know the science of doing it, it's a
Abs-
challenge.
Absolutely right.
It's almost like a problem of physics that you're solving. You know the laws of motion, but you don't know how to do it. It needs
Oh,
practice, it needs contemplation, it needs meditation, it needs a lot of hard work. to do how to do it, and how has to be continuously is changing. The world is changing so fast. What you learned 50 years back is not valid anymore.
Yeah, 100%. And is there any, courses or anything which on this particular whatever you were exactly you are taking the session? Is there any paid courses or something like that?
Gyan session is about that, no? The one that we do in Lonavala every month.
Okay, but in within 2 days, whether it is really is going to seep the everything? Is it? I mean,
It
what
is
I
not 2 days. It is 2 days every month for 5 months. And then there is implementation module which you have to. It doesn't happen in one day. I have people in this session sitting right now who are part of my those sessions for past 10 years. They
okay,
come every time they come for it. Now their teams are coming for it. Now their teams second lines are coming for it.
okay.
So it's a
And in this Lonavala session, when it is going to start?
it's already started last month. I'm doing the next month, this month, June. There's the second session of it, in which day one I'm going to do the recap of the previous sessions. So it's a
Okay,
continuous thing. So hitting the 19th
okay,
June is the plan.
okay. Thank you, Pranam.
Thank you very much, Pranam. Thank you. Last question. Yes, Yogesh.
Yeah, thanks for the amazing session. I
Thank
was
you.
struggling, where does it fit in CMMI level 5 framework, which I have studied, but it is beyond that.
Hmm. You will not be able to fit into any framework.
Yeah. So basically, my question is with regards to uh, I'm just working it out, measuring and identifying the precise moment when the drift happens, because I don't know, I'm just on the conceptual stage. Making it implement is a very long way, I understand that,
Hmm.
but what can be likely the triggers? And that is part one of the question. And
Hmm.
second is, what if there is no alignment of existing people or marketplace or the society itself to some of the things? Is it possible still?
There is no alignment. Alignment is your responsibility. You have to get there. There will never be an alignment. There's no default alignment.
Okay.
Doing alignment is your responsibility. In default element alignment doesn't exist. Our job is to align, and we can't complain that he is not aligned. If he is not aligned, then he should not be part of the whole journey. And if you have not done the full effort of aligning him, then you don't deserve to have him.
Okay. So what is the start point now? The what I see is currently in my organization, the new SOCH, which is just percolating. I'm not saying it's an happened now, but current structure, system, processes
Mhm.
doesn't at all conform to it, align to it. So bringing it is a. I was thinking of skipping your session today. Do you know that? Well, I was thinking, yeah, it is quite. Rohit is expecting too many things about all these things. And is it? I started to question itself. Is it ever possible? I
It
was
is.
thinking it looks absurd, but still I made myself being here. I said, yaar, bahut kuch. But then I understood that you are just challenging the thought process itself. And that is what I'm loving it. And I'm
I'm
still. Uh,
I'm I'm just
so there
going
is
to
a
speak
feeling
them.
of guilt also. There's a feeling of guilt also with me is यार आइडियलिस्टिक जो होना चाहिए था वो किधर है मैं किधर हूँ कंपनी किधर है so
Hmm.
it's a chaos just to tell
Yeah,
you.
you're right. And the problem is ignorance is bliss. So therefore,
Hmm.
I know many of the people who have come for my old sessions also. They have not come for new sessions only because they want to remain in ignorance, knowingly now. That it's
Yeah.
ignorance is better because the moment I know it, I get more pained because I can't do it.
Hmm.
That is not the right way of living. Na?
Yeah, understanding that you are pulling out of all of us out from the comfort zone.
Mm. Correct.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you very much, all of you, for this time that you've given us. I will see you again next Saturday with another topic, which I will communicate during the week. Thank you very much for being here.